Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. As some of you might know, this film is actually available both in theaters and you can stream it in your home through a streaming service called HBO Max. And so that film is Wonder Woman 1984. This film is another film that just struggled to get a release due to the pandemic, and it's finally here, Christmas Day of 2020. Um, Obviously, we're in 2021 now, but I'm reviewing it here in 2021 as well. So this is the follow-up to the 2017 Wonder Woman film that Warner Brothers released back in 2017. Patty Jenkins directed that film too. She directed this movie too. She also co-wrote it as well, believe it or not. So I really liked that earlier 2017 Wonder Woman movie. It was just really, really good. Gal Gadot was clearly perfectly casted as the Wonder Woman character. Chris Pine had a fun character to play in it as well. We got to learn about the mascara and how Wonder Woman had a role in World War One in the DC timeline and things like that. So I was really excited for this movie. I think I even had this movie in my like top five most anticipated 2020 films. So luckily we did get it in 2020. We didn't have to wait until like the summer or anything of this year to see it. This movie. Um, so overall, I liked Wonder Woman 1984. I thought it's a good movie. There is problems in it that I'm going to explain in my negatives. As always, all my reviews are spoiler free, and if I do go into spoilers, I will let you know way ahead of time. But this review won't contain spoilers. Um, but yeah, in Wonder Woman 84, I guess before I kind of talk about what I liked and didn't like about it, um, uh, we find Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, working at this mall, and she's helping with this exhibit, kind of exploring these old artifacts that kind of meant something at one point in time, but they're just kind of these objects now that don't really mean anything. And so there's this one object, though, where in myth, it could grant any wish you wanted, but as a result, something would kind of deteriorate in your life and just kind of make certain aspects of your life worse, kind of like the monkey paw to a degree and stuff like that. So there's this kind of this little wish stone thing that's in there, and so a character in the movie who later becomes the Cheetah from the Wonder Woman comics, probably one of her more bigger nemesis, as I remember. So I think her name's just Barbara at first. She's really not the Cheetah or anything. She's really intrigued by this. She knows kind of more about the mythology behind the object and stuff, so she even keeps it in her office and things like that. We also find out about a character named Max Lord, who's kind of this big TV promoter guy that works for an oil company, and his goal is to kind of make everybody happy, and you can do anything you want, and make the future yours and things like that. And so he attends the exhibit and also is very interested in this wishing stone. And so basically through a series of events, he kind of becomes the wishing stone in a way, and I really can't get into detail on that. But basically, he is able to grant people's wishes, but kind of like him, certain things kind of deteriorate over time. There's certain aspects of your life that just aren't as good as they once were, but you have this one thing now that you really wanted. Um, and so basically, this cheetah woman, this Barbara, played by Kristen Wiig, um, she follows Diana around. She's really jealous of kind of how strong she is, and obviously she doesn't know that she's Wonder Woman or anything yet, but she's really jealous of how strong she is and how beautiful she is, and just kind of everything she brings to the table for this exhibit job and things like that. Um, and so basically, Max Lord and the Cheetah do team up after a while. They kind of believe that everybody should have their wishes granted, and that'll kind of help them get the recognition they deserve and things like that. While Wonder Woman is kind of struggling to keep up with the times because Steve Trevor, her boyfriend from the first film, is gone. And so, through a series of events again that I can't explain, there is something that happens where Steve Trevor kind of temporarily becomes a part of her life again, and so that part of her life kind of gets fulfilled and things like that. But because Steve Trevor is quote unquote back, there's certain aspects of her Wonder Woman abilities that are kind of not as good anymore. And so basically throughout this movie she's trying to get people to realize, yes, it's great if you get this thing that you've always wanted, but as a result, there's going to be parts of your life that are going to fail because of that wish being granted and things like that. And she's trying to get people to realize, how great the world is already, and there's already great aspects of being alive that you don't need wishes to be granted for to make it better and things like that. Yeah, there's problems. Yes, there's things about the world that aren't perfect, but it is a great place, and there's things about it that you should just embrace every single day. And don't take anything for granted and things like that. So that's kind of the overall plot of Wonder Woman 84. As you might have saw by my description, it doesn't really, it has a plot. It's just very thinly sprinkled in there, along with all these series of events involving this Cheetah and Max Lord and all this other stuff. But for things I liked about Wonder Woman 84, for the positives, let's just flat out just say it right away. Gal Gadot was the perfect casting choice to play Wonder Woman. She's just beautiful, strong, kind, nice, inspirational. There's just tons of things she does to this character that just really bring this character to life, and kind of everything I've always liked about this Wonder Woman character. She definitely showcases. Just inspirational. Everybody wants to get to know her. She's kind of mysterious because she is this Amazonian warrior from this other place that not a lot of people can get access to. There's just everything about the Wonder Woman character that she had to bring. She does. I can't imagine any other actress right now playing Wonder Woman. Linda Carter had her time. She did a great job at the time that she played Wonder Woman too. But in 2020 today, as far as like having the right age and the right physicality and things like that, I can't imagine anybody else outside Gal Gadot playing this character. She really did nail this character, and she really is this character at this point in time. Kind of like with Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine. Like, I just can't imagine anybody else playing this character right now at this point. There's a really good final stretch in this movie, and like I was saying earlier about how great the world already is. About there's problems and things like that. We're not perfect, but I do like that final stretch about that message and how the film depicts that message and things like that, and kind of when we do have everything we want, we kind of become worse people because there's no more problems anymore. So I like that message of how the world is already great, and we have to embrace the stuff that we like about it already, and also take in the problems too. But I like how the final stretch of this movie really focuses on that message, and I think that's very strong for this movie to do that. There's a lot of 80s color contrast in the film. The film does take place in 1984. And I think a lot of the color contrast choices they chose really do kind of make it feel like it's a product of the 80s. Like you're kind of watching a film from the 80s and seeing people in 80s outfits and going to the mall and being happy. And, still there's a lot of problems out there in the world too. But it really is kind of this interesting choice of, the 80s really were kind of the best of music and TV and movies and things like that. And so I like all these color contrast choices that kind of depict all those things we loved from the 80s and how it got applied to this movie too. And I also like Wonder Woman's optimistic views of the world. I think it's just a very interesting thing that the writers do for this character, is just how optimistic she feels, and she likes to see people succeed. She likes seeing people happy. She knows when something's kind of off with people and stuff, and I really like how optimistic she is as far as making the world a better place. And I can't talk about this for too long, but let's just say there's a fun end credit scene that you will see. And it's not at the very, very end. You'll have to stick around to the very, very end to see this. But I would say midway through the credits, you'll see this. Just this fun little end credit scene that involves a significant thing within the Wonder Woman property. That's really fun, and I really hope you stick around to see that. I had a big smile on my face when that end credit scene was done with. The Steve Trevor relationship continues, and I like that they did that because that was a very strong thing in that 2017 Wonder Woman movie, was the camaraderie and the duality of Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor working together. They do continue that relationship. It is very cute. It is very, you feel good inside seeing the two of them together and stuff like that. So I like how they continue the relationship. Some of the tools and rules and things in the story to get him back into the story were a little unusual. But I like how the relationship continues, and it helps the Wonder Woman character grow as a character. And the Max Lord character having the wishing power I thought was very unique and cool. It wasn't just a typical strong guy or speed guy or the dark guy or the devilish guy. There really was kind of this cool mission he had of trying to make everybody happy, but as a result he's making the world worse because he's making them, he's giving them everything they want, so he's able to make them do whatever he wants, which is a very violent mission. And I don't know, I thought it was kind of a cool little ability for this character to have. For my negatives, though, of Wonder Woman 1984, unfortunately, the reason probably why it's a much lower film to me than the first one. Some of the action scenes did feel very cartoony to me. Wonder Woman's lasso of truth is just kind of this big spaghetti thing that can do anything it has to do. It doesn't even feel like a lasso anymore. It doesn't even make anybody tell the truth in this movie, unfortunately. Just the cartoony action scenes really were kind of a turnoff for me, just because the action scenes in that first Wonder Woman film were so grounded in reality, and you really could believe that Wonder Woman could do all that stuff in World War One and things like that. This time around, it just felt a little cartoony to me. I also thought this film could have used more 80s elements. Yeah, it has the color contrast and the outfits and things like that, but I would have liked to have seen, what's going on with the politics, what's going on with yeah, the movies are like the greatest they've ever been. How are people reacting to that? How are people reacting to? I don't know if Watergate was late '70s, early '80s, but how are people reacting to that? How are people moving on from that? There's just certain things about the '80s that the film could have played around with a little bit more. And it just kind of felt like they chose 1984 because people liked that year with everything kind of cool that came out that year. But I would have liked to have seen why this specific story was told in 1984. I also thought there could have just been more done with the Cheetah character too. We really don't even see her in costume until Act Three, and that's not really a spoiler because there's nothing to spoil. She's not even in her cheetah outfit until the very end of the movie. Um, and yeah, we see this Barbara character that Kristen Wiig plays throughout the movie, but we really don't get to see Cheetah be Cheetah. There's actually a lot of scenes where her and Diana are friends for a while, so by the time she kind of becomes a villain, there's still that part of us that's just like she probably just needs a good friend to just tell her not to do that, and then she probably would just stop automatically. So I didn't completely buy into her this transformation of her becoming the Cheetah, just because her and Diana were friends for so long in the movie, and so by the time she did get evil, I just kind of didn't believe it. And I thought certain scenes in this film didn't feel a little overlong. There's just a lot of scenes where they just could have simplified the information much more. It does run in at 2.5 hours, which I know a lot of people were not happy with. I think the easiest way to resolve that is just simplify the material down. If like for example, that's not even a spoiler because it's in the trailer. If Diana and Steve are looking at fireworks while flying in a jet, it doesn't need to be a good solid 7 or 8 minutes. It just has to be maybe 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. If even that, I mean, we get the point that they're marveled by this firework thing in the sky. It doesn't need to go on forever. So there's certain scenes like that that really could have been trimmed down. I think the film would have been way better. I also didn't understand, based on the material here, why this film didn't take place in the 60s. I think the 60s would have been more appropriate for this movie due to the missile crisis, due to the things that were going on with JFK in the 60s, people trying to find happiness again. Um, I think this story in particular just would have been more appropriate in like the early 60s, maybe when JFK got shot and people are trying to be happy again, and there's the nuclear missiles now being discovered and people being worried that they're going to go off at any second and things like that. A part of me feels that this story would have been better off in the 60s. Maybe that's just me, but especially when they worked the missile stuff into the story, I was immediately thinking they probably should have gone the 60s route with this. So overall, I'm going to give Wonder Woman 1984 an 8 out of 10. I think it's a good film. It just has a lot of problems every once in a while. It is not as good as the first Wonder Woman film from 2017. I liked it. I just didn't love it like that first Wonder Woman film. So just see it with caution.